In this exercise, we're going to be creating a new Bootstrap site. Bootstrap is a framework that is a collection of codes that allow us to work in an HTML and CSS project without having to do a lot of the programming by ourselves. A framework is already set, it's already framed, it already has most of the things that we need to create a website. There's a little bit more information about this. I included a link to Tutorial Republic where you can read even more about that. The official Bootstrap page, which is getbootstrap.com, there's a link to it here. I will click to open it. It gives you even more information. This is a project that was developed by Twitter, the social media people, as a side project that just took off. It's very popular, it's very easy to use, although it may not seem like it at the beginning. So traditionally, and even before, there were other ways to install Bootstrap. You had to download a file, you had to upload it, you had to have space everywhere. It was a little bit more confusing. We're going to try to keep it simple here. So I clicked on the samples just so that you can see that there's many designs that are already built we have access to, and although they're already made, we still have to massage them a little bit so that we can use them. The one that I'd like you to use in the frameworks here is going to be the Jumbotron. I'm going to click on that and open it. This page, when I open it, it's very simple. It's got a navigation bar that's already built. All of these links lead nowhere, although they can easily be changed to lead to your pages and your applications. The buttons also, same thing. You can click all you want. Nothing will happen, but, well, except when it goes back to the top. But we can actually change the actions to all of these buttons and change the headings, change the content so that it reflects what we want. We're going to be doing a little bit of that in the next exercise. For now, though, let's see. I'm going back to the other site that I opened, which was the getbootstrap.com. And I'm going to click on download. We won't necessarily be downloading anything because what we need is going to be the CSS file that they talk about and the compile and minify JavaScript plugins. So we need the code for the styling, the CSS, and the code for the actions, that's the JavaScript. So if I go down here though to this section, Bootstrap CDN. CDN is a cached version of everything that we need. So rather than downloading it and putting it in a file that we have to upload somewhere else, we're just going to add this to our code. It's going to be a series of links. One will link to a style sheet that's very large. I'll show it to you at some point. Not much to see except all the code. And then there is a script that will actually log into all the JavaScript that we need. Don't need to really spend too much time on this. All I need to do is copy it when we need it. In the meantime, though, let's open up the GitHub page. That's where we will need to put it. This is a week 4 assignment. I'm in my RV 2470 GitHub page. I'm going to click on the repository that I'm using for my website. If you're using your username.github.io for the website, great. Click on that and get to it. If you had to create a new repository, make sure that you're working in that repository. If you have any questions about that, please email me and we'll clear them up. So now that I'm here, I know that I have a week 3 and I should have a week 1 and week 2, which I will be adding shortly. In the meantime, though, I do need to get a new file to create a new folder. So I'm clicking on Add File. I'm going to call this folder week 04, no spaces, everything is lowercase. I'm going to click on the slash so that it opens up the name your file. This is going to be my index file. Well, you know what, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to call this one bootstrap.html because there might be an index file later and that'll be a separate one. I'm going to click on the blank space, that is the editor, and then I'm going to go back into that other file that I had opened, the sample with the Jumbotron, and I'm basically going to lift the code straight off of this page. I will right click anywhere on the page and tell it to view the page source, and it shows it to me. There's a lot of code that's already written. This is what makes the page look like what it looks like. I'm going to click anywhere where there's no text. I'm going to press Control A and then Control C as in copy. You can also right click and copy. There's a shortcut, Control C. If you're using a Mac, that would be Command C. If you're using a Chromebook, that's also Control C. I'm going to go back to my new file, and the code that I just lifted, I'm going to paste it here with Control V as in Victor to paste. All the code comes in, and we're mostly done with this. If I were to go and see what this looks like, it wouldn't look like much because this is actually in their server, so it's linking up to their code. If I go back to the other page that I had opened, that's going to be when I clicked on download, and I have the direct link in case you got lost already. You can go back and check it out. And I'm going to tell it to copy this to the clipboard. They have a handy button right next to the code. Copy that. Go back to the editor where we're working on the new file, and right here on line 14 where it says that they are implementing the Bootstrap core CSS. To view this better, you can click on no wrap and actually get a soft wrap. And line 14, I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to press the backspace key to delete it. Then I'm going to press enter a couple of times, and I'll go up one line just to give myself a little bit more space. I'm going to press Control V as in Victor again, and the code that I just copied is pasted. Now it's going to load. Rather than the CSS from their servers, it's actually going to link to a style sheet somewhere else. It's at bootstrapcdn.com, and it's getting this from the internet. It's getting it from the cloud. It's also going to get the JavaScript from the same source, and then we don't have to worry too much about it. All the rest of the HTML code, I'm just scrolling by, and I'm going to tell this to commit the new file. That saves it to our server. In my case, I am in my username.github.io inside of week 4, and I have a file called bootstrap.html. I'm going to click on it just so that it gives me the usual link up here, which is not a real link, it's just telling me where I am. I'm going to highlight this text. You can type it if you want. It's going to be your username.github.io/week04/bootstrap.html. If you manage to select all this, you can right click and tell it to go to that page. It's loading it, and here I am. I'm now in my website that has the Bootstrap loaded. So all of that code that we copied and pasted is now ours in this GitHub repository. I'm making the screen a little bit narrower so that you can see this is the way that it would behave in a mobile device, depending on whether you have an Android or an iPhone or just a smaller tablet or even a large monitor like I have right now. It will adjust itself and it will be responsive to your needs. We will be doing a little bit of editing in the next lesson, but for now, make sure that you have a Jumbotron page already created, that you know where it is. It's going to be this URL that appears on top. I'm going to copy that for this particular assignment. Make sure that that's what you turn in at the bottom of your assignment, and I'm not in it right now. I'm going to click on it, 4.1, create a new Bootstrap site. I'll scroll to the bottom where it says write submission, and here is where I would paste what I just copied. The URL that I need is the link, the direct link to your Bootstrap. Click submit for that, and it'll be graded. And let me know if you have any questions about this. This is a new concept for a lot of you. If you're still having issues with your GitHub repositories, please let me know as soon as possible so that you can move forward with it. And I'll see you in the next lesson.